Knicks family, what's going on? Peace, Queen.
Peace.
Shout out to the chat. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I think I've been off since last week, Tuesday, so I feel refreshed. How are you?
I too. I've been off since Monday. I missed the show Tuesday. You know, I wanted to get there. That was the Can Reddit show, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I wish I could have made it because you know that's my guy. But great job, for sure. And
Mhm.
your blackest time. Thank you guys for tuning in. Nicks and Bruises. Thank you always, Queen, for joining me.
Of course.
Um, Shout out to the chat. And yeah, today another slow news week, but I felt like I've been off for longer than a week, so I'm ready to go. Um, RJ Barrett, shout out to DJ Shuttle. He sent me this article on Knicks Daily or Daily Knicks where they highlighted a Bleacher Report article
I read it.
of the top 10. I mean, I don't know what the specifications with the age range or whatever it was, but I guess it was top 10, young superstars coming up. And I labeled this snub list, but looking at it, I think there's a fair argument that if you want to rank any one of these guys above them, I think you can make the argument. I'll go through the list. Number one was Luka Doncic,
Mhm.
Jason Tatum, Ja Morant, Trey Young, Zion Williamson, Anthony Edwards, Evan Mobley, LaMelo Ball,
Mhm.
Bam Adebayo, and Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think you could argue for RJ to be maybe above maybe two or three guys on that list, but I think just being fair, you could argue on the other side as well. So
Mhm.
what I want to do is kind of see um, what do you think RJ needs to do to kind of crack that top 10 and surpass, and who do you think he could surpass? Or if you think he's already better than two or three of these guys, you could go ahead and
Yeah.
state that as well.
I mean, when I
Excuse me.
read the article, I read it as top 10 players to build around. And so I was thinking that, okay, well, they're looking at number ones. Then I got down to Bam and Scotty Barnes, and I'm like, well, those guys are not number ones. I don't know if you could build a team around Bam. I don't know if you could build a team around Scotty Barnes. I mean, I could see them as being integral parts of a team. I don't know if you could build a team around them. So then that kind of messed everything up because from 1 through 8, if I remember correctly, I think those guys you can build a team around.
Mm-hmm.
Bam and Scotty Barnes, I'm not quite sure about that. So then that kind of switched things up for me. And I think you could argue that, I mean, it's not even an argument. RJ Barrett has done more than Scotty Barnes up to this point. I think if you want to say, to me, their games are somewhat similar. I think RJ is a better shooter, and that's saying a lot because he's not a great shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not quite sure what RJ would need to do to be on that list, right? Scotty Bond is on the list. Then when you look at who was 11 through 15, he couldn't be on that list either.
Yeah. He missed the honorable mention list. The
Well,
honorable mention list as well, and they did say they considered him for the honorable mention list, but whatever. Yeah, I agree. So do you think, would you rate him? You say you would rate him above Barnes, um, not not
this
so much not so much Bam, right?
no,
Okay.
but I wouldn't even have like it's saying one thing, players to
To
build
build
around, and
around,
then they
yeah,
put players on there that I don't think you can build a team around. You know what I mean? So if you can build a team around Bam and Scotty Barnes, then you could build a team around RG Barrett.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, do you think at this point it becomes intentional to leave RJ off some of these lists because the reaction it gets and things of that nature? Because I'm not surprised. I think
Right.
some of these lists over the past 2 years at least, it has to be intentional. It has to be for the reaction and the outrage that it tends to get, or the coverage it tends to get, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, RJ Barrett has some flaws in his game. In terms of just he hasn't been efficient over his first 3 years. But I don't think that's just it. I don't know if some of it is RJ Barrett, if some of it is just the Knicks. The
Hmm.
Knicks over the past 10, 20 years maybe have put a bad taste in people's mouths, maybe. And if you're affiliated with the Knicks, maybe it's going to take a bit more, for you to get recognized or for you to make lists. But, you know, RJ Barrett has flaws in his game, but Scotty Barnes didn't come in as a shooter either,
Absolutely.
you know? So
And I look
I
at the
get it.
progression. That means more to me. Shout out to Rob the Nick. I had a conversation, or through text about a week ago, and we kind of went back and forth on what we would pay RJ moving forward,
Mhm,
if he came in and had the same year.
mhm,
But without giving out all the things we talked about, one of the things I did mention was his second half of the year and his progression over the 3 years that he's played. Finished the year with like 24 points, six rebounds, 3 assists, 3.5 assists. If he could sustain those numbers, I think he's surpassing a couple people on that list. Um, moving forward.
This
But what do you think it takes for him to crack that top 10 of, or yeah, say crack that top 10 of um players that you would build around, like you labeled, like you said it
Yeah.
was.
I mean, I just want to make a statement and give a little plug because it's right into what we're going to be talking about on Dope Soul Sports Talk tomorrow, 9 o'clock. All things RJ Barrett, because it's the off season, and we in the deep part of the off season. We could kind of do a deep dive on things. We did a deep dive on Cam. We're going to do a deep dive on RJ. But what's the progression? I know JJ said that in the chat, and as something that I've been saying as well. I think RJ's progression. I don't think you can look at his stats. To me, that doesn't tell the progression of RJ Barrett. I think you have to watch him game in and game out, and the
Hmm.
progression has been his aggressiveness, his assertiveness, his his leadership in the sense that I'm not gonna play second fiddle. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna second guess myself. I'm not gonna always give the ball to Randall, for example. If I see something, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna make something happen myself. That's the progression that I've seen in RJ Barrett that I hope
But I
we
think I
see in
think
the numbers. Um, um,
I
yeah,
I agree with you. I think, but I think you can look at those factors that you just mentioned and see slight results in the stats. The end all be all, and again, I know you're going to talk about it on
sure,
tomorrow
sure.
night.
Into it, yeah.
RJ is going to have to be the efficiency. That's what's going to change everything. You know what I mean? The attitude stuff was great. You know what I mean? The mindset was great, and
Absolutely.
that was the start. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes down to efficiency, that's going to be a game changer, because that's when the stat change is going to be like most improved worthy of. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be a huge stat change, or numbers change from better percentages, and that's across the board. Free throws, you know what I mean? That might be 3 to 4 points a game. Uh, 3 point percentage, that might be 2 points a game, and then field goal percentage, that might be 2 to 4 points a game. So right there, that's close to eight points of production.
Less usage though, because remember Brunson is coming in. He's going to need to be efficient just to get back to 20, because
I
he's
agree
there's
with
going to
that.
be less usage. And if you bring in Donovan Mitchell, then there's even less usage than just Brunson. And I think that's the question with RJ. That's why I'm not focusing on the points. People are putting
Mhm.
so much on the points. If you get enough shots, you can score 20 points. If you get enough shots, you can score 24 points. I don't think you can judge him by that, because what happens when his usage goes down, and let's say his points per game goes down, but he's more efficient, then
or
people are
even
going
his
to be like,
minutes.
or even his minutes, and people are going to be like, oh, RJ Barrett has regressed. No, he hasn't. He's shooting 45%. He's shooting, I don't know, 78% from the line. He's averaging 18 points because he's getting less shots, less usage, given the construction of the team. So I just think we have to move away from points. You know, people are like, oh, he scored 24, but he's shooting 42%. 3 seasons. I mean, that's his average in the league. I mean, it's an issue, you know. And then I'm not very encouraged when you're shooting 60 something percent from the line. If it's true that your field goal percentage, your free throw percentage gives a little inkling about, you know, whether or not your field goal percentage is going to come along, right? I'm not very encouraged when you're shooting 60, you know, 60 something percent. But back to your initial question in terms of what he would need to do, I think it's tough for him to make a leap with less usage. And that's basically what he's going to have to do to be seen in this light, right? That his usage goes down, but you could still tell that he's the glue of the team. You could still tell that he's a number one. And I think that's the challenge for him, to do it with less usage, because that's the situation he's going to be in next season, with or without Donovan Mitchell.
Great. Shout out DJ Shuttle, all aboard. Welcome aboard. You know what I mean? This is you know, you text me this topic, so I'm gonna give you the floor, and you know, the floor is yours, man. What do you think? What was he snubbed? I seen you in the chat asking what was it a snub, and you know, you can start there, and then you can give me what you think it takes for him to crack that list even further, if you think he was snubbed.
Oh man, all aboard! Salute to the chat, and to you, Tone, and to the Queen.
Appreciate
You know, it's like there's always like this running topic to always talk about. So now RJ got snubbed off of something is like just a Knicks topic to discuss. Am I making this up?
I mean, it's been repeated throughout his tenure as a Knick.
4 years and 3 years, excuse me. And every year he's been snubbed. He wasn't on the rookie this, he wasn't on the 21 and under that, you know. Now he's not on this list, and everybody's up in arms and excited. But listen, yo, this list is super valid. The list, the players on the list are super valid. Donovan Mitchell's not even on the list.
Right. He was an honorable mention.
Donovan Mitchell's not even on the list. And let's also talk about, forget about what I think first. Let's clarify what the list is. The list is about who has the highest ceiling of this group of players.
Okay.
Who's gonna be Hall of Famers? No doubt, first timers. Who's gonna be perennial all-stars year after year after year? Let's clarify what we're talking about here. Not who's the most accomplished as of 2022. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, so I think the argument still would be the two guys on the bottom, Bam and Scotty Barnes. I don't think anybody else you could really have a fair argument against RJ being snubbed.
And when you look at Scotty Barnes' rookie season, first of all, he's like top 5 in minutes in the league. You know what I'm saying? And he's balling out. Like he's a no doubt top rookie player. As much as we love RJ was not a no doubt top 2, top 3 rookie player. Scotty Barnes was, you know, I mean, it's hard to rank him lower than number 2 in his rookie class.
But can I say this though? I'm looking at Scotty Barnes, 15 points a game, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, a steal. He shot just 30% from 3, 49% from the field. I mean, he knows where he gets his shots from, though. He's not going to shoot the three because he can't shoot. He's not he's not a good shooter.
And with all those offensive stats, it's his defense that's really his calling card. Actually, you hear James Harden talking about him.
I agree with that, but part of that is system and role. You don't agree? Like he's kind of I think he's more of a glue guy,
right?
Than a potential star, potential go-to guy. Right. So I think that's the difference.
Wiggins' role, like on Golden State, like that all around, which I think RJ is as well. That's how I see RJ.
And that's what
disagree with me, but that's what I think.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. We as a Knicks fans collective have said RJ has to be this number one guy, number two type guy, and truthfully, RJ is best fit to be a glue guy. And to your point, Steph, earlier, like RJ doesn't need to score 20 plus points a game. He needs to score at a more efficient clip. He needs to be the go-to defensive stopper on this team. Actually, if you ask me, if he's the defensive stopper and he shoots more efficient and he misses a few less layups, I mean him with the layups. I can't let go of that. You gotta forgive me, guys.
My only pushback against that is my ceiling for RJ is, and I've been saying this since I think year one. And I got killed for it then, was Jimmy Butler. Because Jimmy Butler's not no star. Jimmy Butler's not no star. And I feel like you can't argue that whether he's a star or not, but he has the mentality and the mindset of it. He believes he is. And that's the difference. And I think RJ has that. You know what I mean? So he may not be the go-to guy or the main guy on the team or the best guy on the team, but he's going to believe it and he's going to play as such. Now, granted, he still has a ways to go to reach where Butler is today, but Butler is also further along than RJ is today. You know what I mean? So that's my only pushback, because I don't think he's a number one guy, like no question. But I think his mentality and his mindset could push him into that realm, and you can still have him, guys on the team that's better than him, but it won't take away from how you know what I mean, his effect on the game. So yeah, I stand on that. I think he could equate to the. I just think he could be a better Jimmy Butler.
But really? This is what I will say though.
I do.
Wow.
This is what I will say though, because I've had the Jimmy Butler comparison as his ceiling. I'm not saying he's going to reach it, but I see him as that type of all-around type guy. But a part of what makes Jimmy Butler is the dog in him. And I don't know. RJ is tough, but I don't know if RJ is that type of in-your-face type dog. He's going to work hard. He's going to. Butler can be intimidating.
But does he have to be? I agree with you. He's not.
That's part of what makes Butler though. He takes your heart before you even like he up in you. He letting you know it's a little edge that he has. So the question
I give it to you, because he's not going to concede. He's not going to concede. Where RJ may concede, but even in him conceding, he's going to come back better the next time. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to motivate him. It's not going to happen twice. You know what I mean? Like, so I give you that is like, it's not identical. No, right? That's a very few in the league. Patrick Beverley has that. You know what I mean? Like, it don't matter. He's small, but he ain't gonna back down to nobody. He's gonna say, you know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. RJ doesn't have that.
Yeah, but Butler without the.
I was talking about game
wise, yeah,
more than attitude. But even the mentality, like it's growing, it's changing. I like what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? And he wants to be great.
And it's tough because, like, RJ's the type of person and player you want to root for. He's the type of attitude and mentality you wish every player had. You know what I'm saying? And And if the players with better ability had RJ's attitude, they would be better players. They would be even better players than what most of them are. So, you know, RJ's the type of guy you definitely want to root for. But I don't know. I mean, when I look at that list, Scotty Barnes has only played one season, and comparing his first season to RJ's first season, even RJ's second and third season to his first season, I just see Scotty Barnes with a higher ceiling.
Oh, really?
Bam at center. While it's hard to maybe compare player to player, but the impact that Bam has with his defense ability, be able to bring the ball up, you know, spin moves from the center position, it's like the impact at his position is like a tight end in football, where it's like, you know, you get a Gronkowski, you get a Travis Kelce at tight end. That's significant when you compare it to a running back. So, you know, and again, Mitchell's not on the list. SGA is not on the list. You know what I'm saying? It's like
They on the honorable mention list, though. They even made that though.
They did.
Yeah. So, but the point that I'm making is like there's arguments for the honorable mentions over RJ.
Agreed.
So, like if you told me you took SGA over RJ, how much argument could I really? I could give an argument, but it's a plausible, you know, position.
Hold up. Shout out to Josh in the chat. I'm not gonna respond because I don't understand the question and I don't want to respond wrong. So if you could rephrase it, I got you. I started the show basically saying, you know, I did label it snubbed, but I don't because that, you know, that's what was out there. But I don't know if this one's a snub per se. I'm more concerned with what it takes for him to, you know what I mean, to surpass some of these names.
You labeled it right though, because the fans think he was snubbed.
Mm-hmm.
And if not every fan, enough fans. And that's good. Support your team. We love that.
Right. But it depends on what you think the article is saying, because you could be the face of a franchise and not be a star. So face of a franchise to me is not saying much. Right? You could be the face of a franchise but not be a star because the franchise is just not a great franchise, or the team is just not a great team. So,
or you just might be the homegrown kid, and the guys around you might not be, you know what I mean, might not be the guy that we drafted. They may be the superstars, but they may not be the guys we drafted.
Right. So I don't know about the face of the franchise, but how I read it is somebody you can build around. And I don't know if you could build around Scotty and Bam. You know, I mean, I don't.
But you can build around RJ.
I don't see RJ as somebody you can build around either. So that's what I'm saying. The article got the, you know, it was, you know, I didn't quite
word it properly. Good journalism.
When I looked at 1 through 8, I was like, okay, yeah, you could definitely build around these guys. And when I got to 9, I'm like, bam. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good player, and a needed player, you know, on a good team. I could definitely see his contributions, but build around.
And honestly, I might put certain people on that list above Zion just based off of the injury question mark. You know what I mean? Now, granted, he got the incentives in his contract, which I think they had to do to even negotiate on their side. But, you know what I mean? Just because of that, I might put Edwards above him or LaMelo above him.
I'm going back to the article, and it exactly says,
how did you read it, though?
Rank the best young stars from the previous 5 drafts to build around. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not building around RJ more than anybody else on that list. Even Bam, as a center, you can build around an athletic, modern day center more than you can build around RJ. Like, to me, that's a no-brainer.
Okay, but Scotty Barnes, and I like Scotty Barnes. I like Scotty Barnes coming out of the draft, even despite the fact that he wasn't known as a shooter coming out of the draft. I liked him.
Based on
I
what
just
I've
think it's
seen,
kind of early. Yeah.
yeah. But see, and that's
I
part
want
of
to
it,
see
though.
Barnes after expectation. I want to see what that Barnes is. You know
But
what I
look
Also,
at
mean?
the team he plays on. He's not required to.
Under the radar.
You know, he's you playing with Siakam, you playing with Van Vliet. You just got to roll. You know, similar to if we bring Donovan Mitchell over, at least in my opinion, I know a lot of the fan base may disagree, what RJ's role is going to be. You know, so
and that would be
Yeah.
and that would be like, beautiful for RJ. Get a guy like Spider in here, a point guard, and now you could slide into a guy that does everything that's necessary, and we don't have to depend on you per se.
and I think he would flourish more,
I
flourish
I hear
more.
you. So it
But
came out. Oh, you saying something?
I was just gonna say Mitchell on that list over Barnes. Mitchell on that list over Barnes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
see that, and that to me that was the only one. That was the only one move I think I would have had out of there, and probably would have had him above Bam.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
he's
that's true. He made the top 10, right?
yeah.
Given his role on his team.
You know
Bam's
me.
been
I'm the
Bam's been
Knicks.
an all-star though. Bam has been an all-star. So I
I'm
mean,
I'm I'm the Knicks conspiracy theorist. So
yeah,
I automatically think them putting Mitchell as an honorable mention is again them holding that cards in case we get him. So you know what I mean. Now he could get snubbed as a Nick as well. You know what I mean.
Get
there
used
you
to it.
go. There you
Yep.
go.
Yep.
There you go.
My mind be thinking crazy like that sometimes.
Bam out
I
of bio,
might
by
have to
the way.
start a separate show for it.
By the way, Steph, just to point out, Bam out of bio, 19 points, 10 boards, 3.5 assists, 55.7% from the field, 75 from the line.
I'm a Bam fan. It's just hard to build around a center unless you at Joker level. But I hear you. I'm not gonna, if you ask me at this point, would I take RJ over Bam? Probably not.
Yeah, Bam is
So you'd move RJ and Mitch for Bam right now?
Both of them?
I was just saying because you got to open a spot for him to play. So
I don't know if I would do it in the same trade. But I would love to have Bam on this team. 10 rebounds.
yeah.
Bottom line,
Listen, 19 points too. That's awesome. That's amazing. I didn't know that was his numbers. You know that it definitely made me take a second look.
RJ was not snubbed though. I think that's kind of my bottom line on it. Somewhere in the 13 to 15
I agree.
range.
I agree. And if they would have did a top 20, I think he definitely deserved that. So I agree. That's why I definitely worried. You know what I mean? What can he do to crack that list? Because I agree, it wasn't a snub. Knicks fans, we get mad at a lot of things for no reason. Like
That's New York. That's what we do.
Transition. I see Knicks fans upset that the Knicks are playing Christmas Day. And James Harden, James Harden let the cat out the bag. Christmas out the garden. I think it's important.
Knicks are playing.
I mean, I've heard Knicks fans and just NBA fans, both in general, upset because the Knicks got a Christmas Day game again.
Oh, I see.
And part of it to me is, I mean, it's tradition for us. I love the fact that James let it out the bag and is showing this early. You know what I mean? That's a circle game for him. So I think that has to be something that the Knicks got to be ready for. And like, you know what I mean? There's no reason he should come in and have a a crazy career game and show out, knowing that this was on his list from the beginning. You know what I mean? So use that as motivation. Any thoughts on that particular matchup? I hope it is the second game. I hate when we're the first game of the Christmas morning. I like to have some time to do what I gotta do with my daughter. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Christmas Day game? Philly in the Garden. Might go.
I'm cool with it. You know, I like watching the Knicks on Christmas.
Is it more important to the league or more important to the Knicks?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure.
I think the league is global now. So the days in the past where New York was the major market and having New York every Christmas play and all that, I don't think it's the same as it was, 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that. But yeah, I mean, once you have that tradition of having it so many years, I mean, New York is the Christmas. It's like the Cowboys are the Thanksgiving team and the Lions. Well, the Knicks and the Lakers are arguably the Christmas teams. Whether they're great or they're not great, like that's their game. And let's just you gotta reinvent some things, but you gotta keep some things the same too.
And that's exactly where I was going. Like what it does for the city, like the atmosphere, like Christmas in New York is something that's a little different. Like, you know what I mean? People travel from, you saying NBA's global, but Christmas in New York, people come from all around the globe for that in itself. So I think that's one more thing that, people could go do. Guys like myself that, like to go home on Christmas. It's something I could do with my family and as an event. So I think it is important to the organization, to the city. I'm wondering how much it is important to the league, but it has to be that because they keep doing it. You know what I mean? They'll pull other games off the air year in and year out. Especially if we're not winning. But that Christmas game, it tends to be more times than not.
Yeah, the Christmas game is like the turkey game. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna unwrap your gifts if you're celebrating, and you're gonna get something to eat. You're gonna have something to sip on. You're gonna roll something, light it, and you're gonna watch the game. And you're gonna talk crazy about James Harden this year, and you can't wait. You can't wait. It's a great matchup. Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Harris. Harris is from New York, Long Island. What up?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited because I think the Knicks will have I don't think it'll be a great team, but I think it'll be a very strong competitive team. And yeah, you got that early bulletin board material too. Let's go.
So I know how you feel about Queen. I mean, how you feel about Cam Queen, and I don't know. You didn't make did you make the Queen show last Tuesday? Dope. So no. All right. So what I and being that both you guys don't see RJ as a number one, future number one, or things of that nature, and we might have talked about it before, but real quick, who do you think has the potential to be, if anybody, you know what I mean, has the potential to be a number one guy on our current roster? Is there someone, or do you think it is a bunch of role players, number twos, blue guys, and etc.? Oh, you muted, Queen.
Well, I'll jump in.
I don't see it on this current. Right, doesn't mean it's not there. I'm just saying I don't see it. If I had to pick somebody, it would be hard. It's a number one. Yeah, I don't think we have it.
And I don't mean this year, next year. It may take some time.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
potential ceiling. Nobody.
Keith Sweat said it. Keith Sweat has said it. Nobody. Nobody.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I would start with the two guys, my number 2 and 1 and 2 on my list. Last week, Cam and IQ. I think at the ceiling, I think both of them, either one of them could become a star. I think
on an NBA team, you're talking about
on the Knicks team,
A number one option.
I don't think it's something that would happen this year or you know what I mean. Like I'm saying over time with based off the skill sets. Yeah,
I don't know, Tone.
And again, long ways away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
shit.
Yeah, even over the course of their career, think about a number one. I'm thinking about Embiid. I'm thinking about Harden. I'm thinking about, the entire team. Like, you're the number one player, not just on your team, because you could be a number one on your team, like Randy.
Yeah.
Right?
Where we going? Where we going? All right. Again, that's a fair. Let's include that. I'm not saying lead us to the championship. All right, I give you that. I'm not saying that. But again, you know what I mean? Like, if
can be the best player on the Knicks.
On the team. Yeah, best player on the team.
I don't think that's far-fetched that Cam could eventually be the best player on the Knicks if he remains.
What are we really talking about?
I was about to get some tomatoes though.
At a number I could feel the league. Like
I'll number one. That's a good question though. I guess I could have said top 15 player in the league. Like, because I think if you're a top 15, that would be consistent of a number one option.
Well, yes, you could even be a top 30.
Yeah, I agree. Because some people got two number one guys on their team, in my opinion.
And I don't see any top 30 players in the future of any player on this team. Maybe RJ, if he does something. RJ
would be the best.
Like he's the only one I could see over exceeding my expectations and making it to that point.
Right. And the reason I say that, Tony, in terms of Cam, and this is one of the things we talked about on the show last Tuesday, is Cam is at his best with the ball in his hands. And so the question becomes, can he reach his ceiling playing off the ball? Or is he somebody that in order to reach his ceiling would need the ball in his hand? And where is he going to get that opportunity?
I think there's two ceilings for him.
Okay.
I think there's a ceiling with the ball in his hand of who he can become, and I think if somebody looks at his skill set and says, "No, I gotta put the ball in his hand." Now, granted, it's still gonna take growth for him. It's gonna take better decision making. It's gonna take aggression. It's gonna take some things. But if somebody just says, "I believe in this kid," I'm a live or die with this season in his hands, then I think the ceiling becomes something totally different than if you want him to be a 3-and-D guy with potential to be more. You know what I mean? So I think there's two different ceilings, and it all depends on role, right? If your coach has you in this role, then you can only exceed to a certain ceiling, a certain level. If another coach puts you in a different role with more access, more ability or ways to show your ability, then the ceiling becomes bigger.
But you may or may not.
You may not reach it.
You may not in a bigger role. But
you may not reach it.
I think for him, a coach like Doc Rivers or Jason Kidd, and him coming in as the leading guy in the second unit as a sixth man would be the ideal role. Something like that.
Okay.
See what it turns into.
If no trade, if the Spider deal does not happen, which we still are just patiently waiting to see what happens. If Cam stays, like I really, really hope he comes in with this, yo, I'm the scoring machine in the second unit to come in and drop buckets and get busy.
Yeah.
I love him in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say Swiss Army knife. I don't think he even has to be the scorer because I think he could do so much. I'm like, you know what? Do everything. You know, give me 5, 5, 5, and 5 if you can.
I
You know
gotta
what I
tell
mean?
you, at Duke, I liked him better than RJ.
So did I. So did I. I said it draft night. Like I wouldn't mind trading down and grabbing him at the time.
I was thinking the same thing.
But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. Get ready for the Queen show at 8:00. Queen's Court.
Yeah, we're talking Eastern Conference projections that came out from NBA.com and ESPN, and so I think both of them have the Knicks ranked 10th, finishing 10th in the Eastern Conference, and so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit and a few other things. The preseason schedule is out,
Yeah.
and a few other things.
Tone. One
Yes,
one
sir.
thing I didn't see, and I meant to when I first came in, I meant to say it to you was we should have did a poll from the chat group if RJ got snubbed or not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's make sure we got that in the Rolodex for
No
a future
doubt.
show.
We got to start doing the the pregame show. We get everything ready and
Yeah,
set
I
up.
thought
But we
forgive me. I thought I was on pregame time. I misunderstood. I misunderstood the assignment.
we all good, man. We all good. We in here. We growing. We getting it where we need to be. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Go over to Dope Soul Sports Talk and like, subscribe, and watch. The back catalog. Get familiar. Shout out to DJ Shuttle for joining. Shout out to the Podfather Sim.
Appreciate you.
Always been the mentor. You know what I mean? So shout out to him and the whole MBK fam. Shout out to the chat as well, because there's no show without you guys. And yeah, I'll see you on the Queen's Court. Appreciate y'all as
Peace.
always.